Good evening. Thank you, everyone. We are going to begin tonight with a work session of the Poquoson Planning Commission. Today is Monday, March 16th. And Wiley, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. There we go. Madam Chair, members of the Planning Commission, staff, public, here in person or watching at home, welcome. This is a work session. Planning Commission, I'm sure, remembers, let me turn this on, might help. Yeah, I'm sure the Planning Commission remembers our work session with the City Council back in February. I've included this first map just to sort of reset the conversation, if you will. This is the north side of Victory. You can see what we sort of call the shark fin, but you can see it's basically wooded, and it's R1. And then you got R&D and general commercial zoning. Okay, as I just said, the City Council did remand this back to the Planning Commission for consideration. We had the work session back on December 8th. They included several elements that we talked about back in December, and I want to talk a little bit about those tonight and maybe look at possibly refining a few of them. Number one, the Planning Commission elaborated on Big Woods North distinctions by recommending references to the Big Woods North residential and Big Woods North commercial. I think that is pretty self-explanatory, that one. This one here, I think we may need to tweak a little bit, but the development style should be cohesively planned, more so like a master plan community than piecemeal development. This may require a joint effort by all the stakeholders, being the city, the Economic Development Authority, and of course, the numerous private property owners. Despite everything we see there is a perception out there that we are bringing back legacy. We're not bringing back legacy. There is no planned unit development provision in the ordinance for bringing back legacy. But I think using a term like master plan can get people worked up. This is what I would suggest. Planning Commission will think about this. You guys, not you guys, but the Planning Commission makes the decision. But my 2 cents worth would be maybe we need to put this off till after the comprehensive plan rewrites are done. And it needs to be initiated by the private property owners. And if it is, the City Council and, of course, the Planning Commission would be happy to work with them in helping to formulate this, but maybe not be so out front with it right now. Just an idea for the Planning Commission to consider. Any traffic in R1 zone properties, Big Woods North residential, for by right development in accord with all zoning district regulations should be off of existing public streets and should be focused on areas where existing frontage is available or can be acquired for a new street, and in any case should require a traffic impact analysis for review in order to ensure efficient traffic flow. There were comments made at the last meeting, however brief they might have been, that maybe we ought to be a little bit more directorial, I guess, in exactly where we would expect a road to go. Like if you put a road off of Victory Boulevard, where would we anticipate it to end up? The concern being that when we first went through this, we talked about Yorktown Road and Oakmore Drive, and that elicited a good amount of concern, particularly in reference to Oakmore Drive. So, that may need some refinement as well.
Holly, wouldn't we kind of need, what the overall scope of what we're trying to do there?
Well, the overall scope, if I can go back a few slides, is really this entire area here, but
No, I mean, as far as like trying to plan an entrance to that area.
well, I think the short answer to that is that the hands of the marketplace is sort of going to dictate where that road
Yeah,
goes.
that's kind of what I'm saying.
What we have said, and I'll get to this slide in a little bit, but what we have said that there would be three possible avenues. One would be the other side of Big Woods Drive, the other side, the north side of Legacy Boulevard, and the north side of City Hall Avenue. The idea being that eventually these roads would go back in here, and they would in turn provide access to other properties. But again, the city council recommended we not even talk about, what roads it might hook up with. But we could go a step further. I think Ms. Schott might have brought it up last meeting. We could go a little bit further and say explicitly, between there and Yorktown Road. Okay, which leads me to number 4. In cases where R1 properties are landlocked or where no access exists or can be created, access to a new development from a new public street off of Victory Boulevard should be in the ownership of the developer at the time of application, be limited to the new public street, be focused towards existing intersections, like I said, City Hall, Legacy Boulevard, and Big Woods Drive, and require a traffic impact analysis for review in order to ensure efficient traffic flow. So I'll leave you with that one, and then, of course, I'm sure there'll be some discussion after this. But and this one's pretty straightforward. The Research and Development District in the Big Woods commercial area should be redesignated in favor of general commercial in the 2018-2038 Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map. And I'm going to go back one more time. Sorry about that. Basically, we're talking about that R&D area going into that general commercial area. That's what we're talking about. The reason being, as we've discussed several times in meetings up to here and in the work session last summer with the City Council, when we started this process, is that research and development, for whatever reasons, simply has not worked. It has not taken off. I think at that point, I'm going to leave off and listen to the Planning Commission. I'll take any questions you have in the meantime.
Okay. Mr. Hirsch, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Yeager?
Not right this second, maybe in a minute. I might have-
I don't really have any questions. I think this is pretty much the same thing we're looking at for the most part is,
It is. What I'm suggesting is that there might be some room for refinement in certain elements.
well, I think, number 2, you touched on a little bit, Wally. I recall through all the discussions, I don't think we ever had a landowner from that area come speak or attend any. So we've got nothing but silence from the property owners out there to mine.
Right, and I sort of take that to mean that there's not really a big appetite for doing this approach right now. So if there's not really an appetite for doing it, it was never our intention to superimpose this from above. But, the private property owners are, of course, the groundswell from which this needs to come. I think that that being the case, maybe we don't even need to mess with this one right now. But that's just a suggestion. The Planning Commission can look at alternatives, and we'll certainly carry them forth.
Well, if we insert item number 2 into the comprehensive plan, is that, going to limit, would that potentially limit someone doing an individual development potentially in the future?
No, it will not.
no.
Remember that the comprehensive plan is merely a guide. It's not regulation.
So would your recommendation be to even touch research and development? Because what I'm hearing you state is leave it alone.
I'm talking about the master plan community.
Okay. So,
That's-
so,
I mean, I still think we need to do something with the R&D going to
Okay.
general commercial.
okay. All right.
Wally, listening to you describe number 2 and explain that, I would agree maybe the wording could be a little bit better there if it's causing some angst with some community members. And I agree with Commissioner Armentrout. It sounds like you may have referred to maybe encouraging more communication from those that own the land in this particular area.
Yes.
The landowners. Sounds like
Yes.
for them to have a say, possibly to encourage feedback.
Well, they're
from
going to
them.
have a big say.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I agree that a tweaking of maybe the wording in number 2,
Okay.
definitely. And then also encouraging their input, without a doubt. I think we've done that, but give them another opportunity if you may.
Okay.
I think that certainly any way that we can kind of soften it. I think, for me personally, just any kind of talk about development after
Right.
that have been here coast and I'm not really,
Yeah, perhaps it was
Anyway,
an unfortunate use of the words master plan, but, I mean, again, it's not our intention to impose this from below, but, from above, rather.
yeah, I just think that no matter kind of what the language we use right now, it's going to be kind of a shock. If people,
Yeah.
because they take it as we're looking to develop
Well, I mean,
this
we
or-
could totally rework this. That's what I'm here, that's what the staff is here to do, is to listen to the planning commission and follow through on what the planning commission wants us to do.
I have a procedural question. This was adopted by city council.
It
right?
was
Did we-
simply remanded, as points for further discussion.
Okay,
Yes.
so making tweaks to this is not an issue procedurally then? That's what
No,
I'm asking, okay.
no, it's not. I've asked that question.
Wally, how would the language be if we struck more so like master plan community, and said the development style should be a cohesively planned community rather than development? We just take the master plan thing out of it, accomplishes similar,
Okay,
that's worth talking about, or?
well, I think as part of what we're talking about, the other thing we're talking about is possibly defining what the trigger time-wise would be when we would look at this in detail.
I think too that still is good plan on the property owners, a lot of
Of course it is.
initiating.
And I mean, the property owners may initiate this in 2027 or 2029. We don't know if they ever initiated at all. I mean, it was just an idea, is to use some softer language here and maybe put it down the road in priority. Yeah, and the planning commission can do whatever they want to with that. I'm here to listen. And if the planning commission wants to think about it and come back next month, I'm fine with that too.
I think that if there's a way that we can certainly kind of look at how we want things to develop community, but not imply that we're start something like tomorrow, I mean, any way that we can, because we're really just trying to look out for the future and how Poquoson is developed.
Yeah. And that's where that idea for, at such time, whenever it may be that the property owners want to get together and look at this cohesively as an entire area, the city would be happy to help in facilitating those talks.
Personally, I like having the language in there. I'm perfectly okay with softening it, like removing the master plan
Okay.
reference. Nothing in this states that we're initiating anything. We're not going to initiate anything.
No.
We don't own the land. So we're just talking about what the overall plan is. In the comprehensive plan, which is just a plan, I think it should be in there now.
And I sort of agree with that, because right now, this property, should a property owner choose to sell it and develop it, they can.
Absolutely.
So I think what's important for people to understand is, and certainly with Oakmore, I understand their concerns, 100%.
Sure.
However, I think what's important is what we were trying to do and what City Council tasked us with doing was looking at this. And when we say master plan, that we look at the whole area in one section, not this parcel and this parcel and this parcel, so that this remaining land mass is developed in a way that makes sense. Not that
Right.
there's anything on the books right now. It's just, hey, we don't want 5 houses here, and we'd like to have some walkable trails, or we'd like to have a community center or whatever. I think that's what this whole thing has been about.
Well, I think it has too, but I just want to make sure that we are properly addressing this, in advance for the private property owners that will have some concerns about whether this is going to be another planned unit development or anything like that. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, this is basically the amendment wording for the comprehensive plan, correct?
Yeah,
This is
these are
adjustment.
elements that'll be coordinated
Right.
or cooperated, co-opted. I think that's the word I'm looking for, into the language of the comp plan rewrites. Yes.
That's, as you mentioned, it's a general guide, if you will, an advisory guide.
It is a general guide.
Land use, if you will.
Right.
And as you said before, this is not, an ordinance. This is not a rule fast. It's just a plan. It's like a playbook.
Yeah, it's a
Guide.
playbook.
It's a
I
guide.
mean, yeah. I mean, we may like to see this, but the proper property owners may not want to see that. And if
Exactly.
they don't want to see that, we're not going to see that.
Exactly.
Right.
I do like the part of the wording about requiring, this may,
Yeah.
it's not must, but this may require a joint effort by all stakeholders. I think that's important. And you've listed, there's 3 of them there, city, economic, EDA, of course, the private property owners. So that's, to me, that's,
Okay.
inclusive of everybody, which I think is important to keep.
Okay.
Well, changing it, I think taking master plan out may be the easiest. I think Mr. Armentrout mentioned that a few minutes ago, and Hirsch, I think that does soften it. Not sure if you could take out development, the second word, and use something different.
Yeah,
Future- Like
maybe
future
so.
development or future
Maybe
land use
so.
or future land use should be cohesively planned, something that if development and master plan make people angst go up,
Yeah.
maybe soften that.
And this is a question for the entire planning commission. I hear your comments, Mr. Yeager. Would you put any sort of time limit on this, or just leave it the way it is?
Constant message that we've said since the beginning is there's no
Right.
time frame. It could be 30 years, it could be 5 years. We don't
Right.
know that.
We're
No, we
certainly
don't
not
know.
setting
We
a
don't know.
timeframe.
So to put a time
If it ever
frame-
happens.
Right, if it
Yeah.
ever happens, to put a time frame on it is unrealistic.
Future, and there's not really a
Yeah.
into that. I mean, it's kind of open-ended.
That's true.
Future land use
That's true.
should be cohesively planned.
That's
Soften
true.
it even more to say it desirable for future plan use to be cohesively planned. We're not dictating how those people are going to have to use it. We can soften it a lot and still get the message across.
All right, well, you want me to try my hand at it and bring it back to the planning commission and see what you think?
Yeah, I think we can do the same. I mean, think about how,
Okay, yeah, I mean, if there are ideas that y'all have individually, please feel free to express them to me. I'll be happy to take them into account. Where were we on all this, this talk about the traffic flow? I mean, we talked about the three, main areas, and we also talked about existing frontage available. Do we want to say anything specifically about roads where it starts and where it terminates?
Personally, think it's going to be difficult to do anything like that without
Yeah.
understanding what the future development's going to be. And
Sure.
I might recommend generalizing the language more and just emphasizing the fact that whatever's done is going to require a traffic impact analysis.
Well, yes, absolutely.
I like the fact that it says be focused towards existing intersections. They exist currently. We have the traffic signals, for the most part, with the exception of City Hall Avenue, in place.
Right.
But like Boulevard being, that, I think that's important.
Maybe we could add one in here, and I'm just throwing this out again. Maybe we could add one that, and be designed sufficiently for access streets off of it. In other words, if you have a, well, I don't have my map up anymore, but let me see. If you had a road coming up this way, you may want room to put in adequate access to kind of reach across there, to get into other areas rather than just have to build a whole new road off of Victory Boulevard. An interconnected sort of traffic plan. Okay. It's not bad though, the way it is. I mean,
Find it good as is, and again, if we want to, I don't know if this language needs softening at all or not, but I think it's okay as, I don't think we can provide any more guidance than that without knowing what the future development's going to
Right.
be.
I agree. There's so many small parcels that no one developer or afford to
well, now
fund
that
the road
yeah,
into that area, and it's going to
yeah.
a lot more happening than just one person parcel
Okay.
to make that happen.
And without knowing what wetlands exist on the parcels back there, it's hard to determine
Yeah,
that.
we know there's a lot, we just don't know
Right.
the limits of it, but yeah.
Right.
It's flooding and wetlands and, yeah. All kinds of impediments that at least the technology today cannot overcome.
That's
So,
right.
All right, well, that's what I got.
So are we in agreement to let Wally back and take a look at this and see how he can soften the language based off of what other commissioners have stated?
I'm in agreement. I think we're only talking about item number 2, though. correct? I think we're.
Item number
are
2, I
we
think
all in
we're
agreement
okay
about
with
the other
pretty much
4?
the other stuff.
Wally, can you put up number 2
Yeah,
as well, just for my... How about number 3? I'm sorry, number 3.
oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, I made a mistake there.
Now, keep in mind, when we talk about by right development, that's allowed in the zoning ordinance right now. And we're
I
not
think-
talking about changing the zoning ordinance.
We, with number 3, we basically removed the reference to the subdivision.
Yeah, the city
Oakmore.
council
Yes, I'm sorry.
removed reference to Yorktown and Oakmore in the language.
But that's still on the table if,
Well, it
Developer.
could be, unless we, I mean, right now, somebody could do a by right development off of Oakmore, but I'm here to tell you, that's probably not going to happen because we've had 3 other people already try, and the environmental impediments were such they couldn't be overcome. So unless you want to say something specific about, Yorktown Road, we're just going to leave it the way it is. Or for that matter, roads, going back there and not really going anywhere after they access the R&D or GC property.
isn't there a residential property on Yorktown Road that is vacant now, the old White House, isn't that owned by a developer and that also an owner of one of the larger parcels?
Yeah, I don't know which one you're talking about. If you're talking about that one, there is
Yes,
some
that right
access.
there, right there where your pointer is, I think. But isn't that a residential property or a separate
Yeah, that's
parcel?
R1 property.
Yes. Habit Realty bought it, I don't know if it's still owner or not.
So that's an opportunity for access into that parcel from
Yes.
Yorktown.
All things, I don't know how much of it's in wetlands. I have no idea, but yes.
Wally, I'm personally fine if you want to refine the master.
Okay.
Section 2,
All
but the other parameters, personally, I think we should leave them as is.
Okay.
Good.
All right, well, good enough. I'll do that. And thank you for listening. And I don't have anything else.
Okay? So we're going to stand in adjournment until 7 o'clock for
Yes.
our regular meeting.
Yes.
Correct. Okay,
Yes.
we're adjourned. Good evening. I now call to order the March 16th meeting of the Poquoson Planning Commission. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Armentrout,
Present.
Commissioner Hirsch,
Present.
Commissioner Yeager,
Present.
Vice Chairman Geisinger,
Present.
Chairwoman Schott.
Present.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. We are going to stand tonight, if you're able, and do our Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer. Let's do our prayer first, and then we'll do the pledge. Please bow with me. As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a moment of reflection. May we approach our responsibilities with humility, patience, and a spirit of cooperation. Help us listen to one another with respect and consider carefully the decisions before us. May our work contribute to the well-being, safety, and general goodness of our community. Amen. Mr. Hirsch?
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'd like to welcome those joining in person as well as from home this evening to our Planning Commission. We're going to jump right into our agenda, and we are going to begin with item number C, our approval of minutes. And those minutes are from the regular session on February the 19th, 2026. Do I have any changes? I have a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the minutes from February 19, 2026.
Do I have?
Regular session.
That was very good. Do I have a second?
Second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Armentrout,
Aye.
Commissioner Hirsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Geisinger,
Absent.
Chairwoman Schott.
Aye.
The motion passes.
We're going to move into item number D on our agenda tonight. That's the audience for visitors. This is a time for our community members who are present this evening to come up and speak to us. And this would be related to items other than what we have on our public hearing this evening. Would anybody like to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close the audience for visitors. And we're going to move into item number E of our agenda this evening, which is our public hearings. Mr. Horton, this would be an application for a conditional use permit.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Let me see here. Need to get this screen adjusted. Oh, okay, very good. This is a conditional use permit for Lynn Howard and Matt Booth of Overflow LLC. You may remember that they got a conditional use permit for operating well, back then it was called a tourist home, but they're called short-term rentals now, next door at 430 West Creek Road. This is the property right here. It is in B2. That's the property that I just got finished talking about. And then, of course, is the Metro Mart. That's the old, empty now, Rite Aid building and McDonald's. Zone B2, as I said, the application was advertised for public hearing in the Daily Press on March 4th, 2026, and on March 11th, 2026. Adjoining property owners were notified of this request, excuse me, by letters mailed on March 4th, 2026. Applicant's proposal. The applicant desires to operate what will be a fully furnished short-term rental, a whole home short-term rental. He will not be living there. To be rented by transient occupancies for lodging for stays between 1 and 30 consecutive nights, which is the state code definition of a short-term rental. Some elements that he included on his application included noise and emergency notices, trash receptacles on the left side of the garage, trash pickup by Poquoson Public Service. The permit form states that 8 parking spaces are available, staff counted 6. Check-in and check-out processes are to be executed remotely. There will be local maintenance, cleaning, and enforcement staff available. The lodging will be, as I said before, fully furnished and outfitted. Some of this I've already said, but I'll say some of it again. The site is a single-family home located at 428 With Creek Road. It is adjacent to the tourist home, as I pointed out earlier, at 430 With Creek Road, also owned by Matt Booth and Lynn Howard of Overflow LLC. The intent of the zoning district is to provide sufficient space for a wide variety of businesses, commercial, industrial, and miscellaneous service activities. Short-term rentals fits into that category. But they're not permitted by right, which is why we're here for a conditional use permit hearing tonight. In fact, whole home short-term rentals are allowed in the business commercial, but only with a CUP. Partial home rentals like a B&B can be approved administratively. Property is located in the central city's central business district, certainly neighbored by businesses that I've already pointed out, and by the tourist home is also pointed out as well. The property has direct access. In fact, instead of saying all this, let me go to the parking display. There is access off of With Creek Road. This is going to be a new access that they're going to put in, and the parking space, and I looked at this a number of times, I couldn't quite make out the scale. It was kind of one of those in-between scales. But there is room for 6 cars. I think what Mr. Howard may be going for, and he can answer this more, if there are questions about this, maybe going more towards a roundabout circular drive. But at any rate, we counted six parking spaces. Comprehensive plan does not specifically address short-term rentals, but it is the opinion of staff that there is established market and demand for these uses and the like. In the city of Poquoson. Staff felt like this was an appropriate location because it is zoned B2, commercial. So therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the application to the City Council with the following conditions, and I will read these out if you'll suffer me the time. The business will be subject to all applicable taxes as determined by the Commissioner of Revenue, to include a transient occupancy tax at time of implementation. All signage shall be subject to architectural review. Remember, this is in a B2 district, so it's subject to architectural review. The use must comply with all aspects of this application, with the exception of parking spaces, which shall be in compliance with condition number 6. I'll skip ahead number 6 and say that is 6 parking spaces, not the 8 that is stated in the application. The use must comply with all local, state, and federal permits, licenses, and regulations. If at any time this use is operating in violation of any of the regulations set forth by the aforementioned agencies, the City Council may revoke the permit. If at any time the specified permitted use on the property is discontinued for a period of 2 or more years, this permit shall become null and void. At no time shall more than 2 persons per bedroom occupy the dwelling. Parking for the use shall be accommodated for for on-site in a paved driveway and/or parking area as approved by community development staff. This will be done at the time of site plan. Parking spaces shall be provided at a rate of 1 per unit and 1 per bedroom. There are 5 bedrooms that he's proposing, so there's 5 spaces for that and 1 per unit, the house being a unit. So that's how we come up with 6. Number 8, no parking of major recreational equipment, including but not limited to travel trailers, utility trailers, pickup campers or coaches, motorized dwellings, tent trailers, boats and boat trailers, houseboats, or similar equipment normally used for recreational purposes shall be conducted in front of the building line. Well, this was carried forth from the R1 regulation and meant to kill this, except one such major recreational equipment may be parked or stored in the front yard for a period not to exceed 48 hours for the sole purpose of loading or unloading. City Council reserves the right to review and amend the conditions of this permit as they see fit. And that is pretty much my presentation. I'll take any questions. And Mr. Howard is here. The applicant is here.
Okay.
I might have some questions for Mr. Howard when he comes up. I have concerns that the six parking spaces shown in the packet, that I'm not sure those can be achieved if they go through the site plan process in the city. Yes, we're treating this as it's a commercial site, but it originally was designed as a residential, single-family dwelling, so it was designed in that fashion. So now we're making it a commercial use, so I think it's subject to site plan review like any other commercial
Right.
entity that would come in. If a dentist was coming in and going to set up practice there, we would require them to submit a site plan. The adequate parking or the space available to meet site plan requirements, and I'm
Correct.
questioning what I'm seeing in the package, that it will actually meet that.
Well, he showed 37 feet from in the parking area from the house to the right-of-way of Wythe Creek. If you divide that by 6, you come up with right at about 6 point something, and 9 is how wide a parking space usually is. Now, of course, one of those will probably need to be handicapped as well. So,
I believe the ordinance requires, the proper islands and that are required for radiuses and handicap parking and just that. So there's not a lot of room in that front yard
it's not.
compared to any other commercial site in the city, and it takes a lot of room to get spaces in legally. So my biggest concern when Mr. Howard comes up, I want to see that you can put 6 spaces there legally.
Well, the applicant's here, and I'm sure he can speak to that as well.
Fellow commissioners have anything?
Yeah.
No questions right now?
Yeah, I have a bit of a concern about the language about the recreational vehicles. One section, it basically just says no parking shall occur of all recreational vehicles, and then another place where it says the recommendation shall not exceed 48 hours for the sole purpose of loading or unloading. 48 hours is a long time to
Yeah,
load
that
or
was
unload
meant to-
something.
That was meant to be dropped.
And I also think that that should generally be prohibited within reason, but I don't know if we can, what the language would have to be to enforce that.
And this is more of a question for the applicant. I would certainly say that the parking is a concern, especially when, say you have a truck and you have 6 trucks. I mean, how that would look and how that would function on a very narrow front yard. Another concern I have is we talk about enforcement. He talks about postings of sign and enforcement. Who's going to enforce it? Is that going to fall on the police to enforcement? Is he going to be?
Well, anything
personal-
on site, we would enforce.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We would enforce anything that's on site.
But say you have people there that are not complying, they're having parties or whatever that looks like, that would fall on the city or on the applicant?
Well, if they're operating beyond the parameters of their permit, and nothing in there says that it's going to be used for parties,
No,
but if they are acting beyond their permit, that permit can be revoked.
right. How long has the other short-term rental, do you know how long that's been used to the adjacent?
I think it's been about 4 years now.
And do we know if we've had any concerns at that property or any enforcement issues there?
Not that we've heard of, no.
Okay, okay.
I would also add that this does seem like a reasonable use of the property. There are only commercial neighbors other than their
Right.
adjacent property. In general, I have no objections other than some of the language in the recommended conditions.
Bless you.
Bless you. Sorry. I agree. I mean, again, it is adjacent to a short-term rental. I just would like to flesh out some of those details going forward, and the applicant should be able to do that. So with that, thank you, Mr. Horton. We are going to move into our public hearing under our public hearing portion of the meeting. I'm going to open the public hearing. If you'd like to come up and speak as the applicant, feel free to do so.
Sounds like we start with the parking. Can we go back to that picture? I'll give you an idea. I helped to design the ordinance for Hampton, and Hampton's parking is one space per 2 bedrooms. One per 1 bedroom's pretty steep. I don't mind it. We've got plenty, but it's still, just as a reference point, that would be a lot. The reason I drew it this way wasn't this is the optimal way to park. What's critical to me is that people can pull in and pull out, never back out onto Wythe Creek Road, for obvious reasons. In terms of space for parking, you can see back where the arrow is close to the house on both sides, you could easily put another car there. You've got a full distance from, I can't see it now, but it's 50 feet-ish from one side, between the 2 driveways. So you've got about, let me see, 12 or 13 feet, which is wider than a driveway per space going across, and you've got room for 2 vehicles going across. I've never had 6 cars, unless you were throwing a party or something. That's not gonna happen. We limit, and one thing we did with Hampton, at my proposal, I do about 19,000 nights a year of short-term rentals, so it's, I can work from a lot of experience with that, is that you limit the number of people that can be in the dwelling as guests, and then double that for the maximum number on the property at any time. If you do that, if you have a place that's 10, you never have more than 20. And the only time you really enforce that is if somebody's throwing a party, you show up and say, hey, this math doesn't work, and you evict them. In terms of enforcement, we are very, very strong on our own enforcement of standards. Airbnb has standards, we have standards as well that will exceed the standards that y'all would impose. The one thing we've said to all of our neighbors, we make it a point of meeting our neighbors, is that we're going to be neighbors longer than they're going to be guests, so we're going to take care of our neighbors. And so even in places like Wythe, places where they would be more sensitive, we've made great friends, because we've proven that. If there's a disturbance, we tell them, they all have our phone number, we say call anytime, night or day, we deal with it immediately.
So with that being said, your adjacent properties, one is the short-term rental that you own, and one is Metro Mart, which does not operate 24 hours a day. Correct. So speak to your enforcement techniques that you spoke to them briefly, but just go into that a little bit further if you don't mind this evening.
A couple of examples that have been fun, because with this many states, we have really fun stories. One, we have ring cameras on the outside. They know that we're going to surveil the outside for their security and ours. And as I mentioned, we make sure our neighbors have our number. So I got a call one night, this was one of the Buckrow properties, from one of my neighbors. So when I call the guest and say, we're concerned about the number of people you have, we're concerned about where you're parking and parking in the yard. So, oh, we're not going to, okay, the white car that is parked on the right side in the yard, let's start with that. And kind of ended the conversation. But it's, so we are able to know very quickly and respond very quickly, and Airbnb is as well. So, and Verbo less so, but we're able to get enforcement. One of the things I love about short-term rental as opposed to unfurnished, you have, I'm sure, unfurnished rentals that have been a headache for you for years and you can't do anything about it. With a short-term rental, it takes maybe an hour to deal with somebody, and the police remove them. There's nothing they can appeal to. It's under 28 days, you violated the rules, you're gone. And we don't need to do that very often. The ability to do that is what keeps it straight. So anyway, back to the parking. I don't recall when we've had most of the stuff on your list, but I want to be sure you understand what matters to us is pull in, pull out. So whether they are like in this illustration, backing out, pulling out, backing toward the house, pulling out, or they're just driving through, that ingress, egress that doesn't have us backing on Wythe Creek is the big deal for their safety and for the city. I am concerned with the restrictions though, because I'm next to a gas station where you don't have any restrictions like that. And this is a business property. So I don't quite see why that would matter. We aren't, in terms of handicap, we are not required. This is not ADA compliant. So, but we could put in a handicap space, no problem, but I would expect to have the same rights as a business if that were the case. So I would like to appeal to you to remove the language about what can be parked in the front, because you don't have that restriction at the gas station.
But this was for a residential property at one time, and a gas station was for a business.
But this is a business.
I understand that.
So this is a change of use from a residential property to a business. That is not the place you would want a residential property. It doesn't make sense in light of the development of Wythe Creek Road.
Your other property, were the conditions also the same? You own the adjacent property next to that, correct?
We have the parking in back for that one. There's not a good way to get parking in the back for this one.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. And it's not a likely problem because I've never run into it, but I'm always averse to having restrictions that don't make sense to me in light of the zoning.
Okay. Mr. Armentrout.
Well, first off, I have no issue with what you're doing here. I think the Metro Mart and own the property next door, and it's a commercial property, and somebody's upset over there, you have to deal with them, and 7-Eleven down the street. So it's in a place that it's not going to really cause any angst to anyone. But my sole issue here is you're putting 6 cars in there, and it's a commercial property, and it needs to meet Poquoson's site plan ordinances. And I don't think that does, and you can't really use the old Metro Mart because it's been here for Along.
Well, what are the requirements for business parking?
Well, just because you put all 6 spaces on a picture, and it doesn't mean it meets the site plan ordinance, so.
Well, I don't want, remember, the issue for me isn't that I need 6 cars there. I think 6 is excessive for residential. My concern is not we need 6 spaces or we put them there. My concern is that we flow in, we flow out, we don't back out into With Creek. That's
Sure, I
my
don't care
sole
if,
issue.
if 6 spaces is what you're allowed to have and you can make it work and within, and that's great. You know, that's wonderful. Without this going through a site plan for us to get feedback from the city or whoever's going to review it, who reviews that stuff?
City engineer, in fact, when Mr. Howard came in, we talked to the city engineer about feasibility of building at Second Drive.
So, you know, we've got site plans and established for drainage. I think it's a requirement. We're adding an additional entrance off of With Creek Road, which can, that particular area can back up heavily at certain times of the day. So that entrance that's there now was for a residence. Anyway, I would like to know that parking is being done the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Put that much asphalt there, that water is going to go somewhere. Where's it going to go? I see 2 yard drains there that it might go to, but I think they're yard drains. But, you know, there's no drainage plan there to, how do I know? Is all that asphalt going to dump on? Anyway, those are the questions I have. Other than that, I don't have any problem with what you're doing, so.
Thank you. And maybe you could tell them what the city engineer said?
Well, I mean, the city engineer commented on the feasibility of putting that second roadway entrance in that you're advocating. We did not actually get into a long discussion about drainage at that particular time that I recall.
But that would be properly
That would
reviewed
be
during site
reviewed,
plan
yeah.
review, and the city would, of course,
Yeah, and
Would
we would
enforce
also
that.
as well.
Absolutely.
Because I would be the recipient of the drainage.
right,
So,
right.
because it runs from street to the back,
Right.
not the other way around. So that's something we will want to pay attention to as well.
Asked that you can only get a site plan approved for 4 cars. Now, there's 5 rooms, and then you got to have an extra one, so what
Well,
happens after that?
This is a lot more impervious cover than it takes for 6 cars. You've got, that driveway holds 2 cars.
I'm not disputing that,
And-
you know.
So what I'm saying is you've, even if you cut the impervious cover in half, you still could do 6 cars. Okay.
I'm just questioning is if this, are we gonna hold this gentleman to the same site plan standard?
We hold everybody to the same
Yeah, so,
standards. Yeah.
I drive by here in 6 months. Front yard's been paved by Tom's Paving, and there's nothing really done to indicate that there's any thought engineering put into this site.
Yeah.
Well, sure, but no, we'll go through the site plan ordinance in accord with what it said, like we would with anybody else.
And number 4 in the CUP, staff recommendation basically points to that direction, correct? The staff recommendation, the use must comply with all local, state, federal permits, so.
Yep.
So for this to become a reality,
Yeah.
it's those
Right,
that
it'll
will see
absolutely,
all the plans and approve or make recommendations or what have you.
that's correct, that's correct. Could I walk back to one thing? Can I do that?
Do whatever you'd like.
Well, without your permission, I can.
You go right ahead.
But, Mr. Howard, I know he made this point. If you look at your approval resolution, that actually has condition number 8 the way it was intended, except for that accept stuff. I'll read it for you. No parking of major recreational vehicle, including but not limited to travel trailers, utility trailers, pickup campers or coaches, motorized dwellings, tent trailers, boats and boat trailers, houseboats or similar equipment normally used for recreational purposes shall be conducted in front of the building line. The reason we added this condition in here is, number one, it says a conditional use permit. So that's why we had that condition. Regardless of, because when you look at a conditional use permit, you're looking at use in a certain place at a certain time in accordance with certain, provisions. So that's why we put that in there. I understand Mr. Howard wants that removed, but I just wanted to read that provision to you as it appears in the approval.
And Wally, I like what you have put in there with that stipulation. I mean, certainly, for cars, that's one thing, but for, RVs, trailers, even what Mr. Hirsch said about a 48-hour window, a turnaround.
We're not.
I mean, I can understand that, so I don't have any problem with that condition. And I just don't. I think that's just, proper for what a conditional use permit is. So I don't have any concerns with that. Certainly my other commissioners may.
I don't either.
No, I agree with it.
So if the gas station were applying today to be next door, would you have the same prohibition for them, not grandfathered, but today?
Sir, that would be clear speculation, and it would be
I know.
missed for the planning commission to comment to that. So I would certainly ask you to work with staff on that, but it would be negligent on our behalf to speak to another situation. So certainly, did you have anything else that you would like to add regarding your application this evening that would help us better that? Because we do need to ask others if they would like to speak regarding this.
Sure. No, that was pretty much it. And again, I don't think this is an issue that's going to affect me because it hasn't yet. I don't recall that happening. But at the same time, as I said, I'm concerned with restrictions that don't seem to be analogous to what's around it. And so the hypothetical, I think, is helpful to say, if you were approving a gas station, would you say you can't do that? If it is, I'd say, well, then it makes sense that you wouldn't do that here. If it doesn't, because those could be a fishing boat, this is Poquoson, a trailer or something like that, could make sense for somebody to bring. It would seem like that would fit with this kind of guest housing. So that would be the case. Okay, but I wanted to.
We appreciate it, and we appreciate you coming out tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have anyone else that would like to speak regarding this application this evening? Yes, ma'am. If you could come up and state to the microphone so all of those at home can hear you. State your name, please.
Okay, my name is Barbara Tripp Crute,
Okay.
and my property is adjacent to the back of Mr. Howard's property.
What was that address, ma'am?
It's 1 Alpha Street,
Okay,
and so they merge
okay,
back there. And we would request, we've never had any problem with the earlier short-term rental. That's been seamless. But for this particular piece, it would help us a lot if you could build some sort of a fence, because right now the yards blend. There's no demarcation.
okay.
And if you could just put some sort of a fence in the back to delineate your short-term rental from our property.
If you could,
That
ma'am,
would be-
could you speak into the mic and speak to Planning Commission? It's your time to speak to us this evening.
Okay, I'm just talking to him.
Okay.
It would help us a lot. That would make the two properties identifiable.
Okay,
And so that's what we would request.
certainly. Okay,
Okay, and that's about all I have.
okay, wonderful. Thank you for coming out on this nasty evening.
Thank you for hearing me.
Do I have anybody else that wish to speak regarding this? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Wally, can we add that as a condition?
Yes, I already wrote down,
Seems
add
reasonable.
fence along the rear property line.
Sir, if you could come up, because the public at home can't hear you speak.
Yeah, I think I'll bring it across her back and then bend it so, because just one thing sticking up falls like a domino. But I don't see any problem with that. That's a good idea.
Okay. Do we need to stipulate what type of fencing should go up? Or is that this, your recommendation, Wally?
6-foot privacy fence.
Yeah.
Could I recommend 6-foot privacy is what we typically do?
That's-
All right, thank you. Yes. Okay, the public hearing is closed now, so. Okay. Right. That's a reasonable accommodation. Any other comments by the Planning Commission this evening?
I think his comment about a boat might be reasonable if it's a small fishing boat, but I'm still thinking about, like an RV or a massive coach just doesn't belong there. It just doesn't fit there, so.
I would agree. I was thinking the same thing. We'd almost have,
I have concerns about that. If we're talking about ingress and egress, okay, turning a boat in there for, my husband and I have a boat. It would be hard to do that. And, certainly where the other parcel, should somebody want to have a short-term rental, and he does own that adjacent property, he does have access behind that a person could, in theory, turn and put a boat back there. And that would also be an accommodation versus any potential concerns, based off of what staff said this evening. I think it's a reasonable request, because where do you draw the line with the bedrooms?
Isn't that a current requirement in the residential areas anyway? Nobody
Correct.
adheres to it, but you're not supposed to have
You're
your boat
exactly
sitting in
right.
your front, in your driveway?
In fact, it was copied and pasted directly from R1.
All right.
So who's supposed to be enforcing that? So,
Oh, we reinforce that.
yeah, I can probably name 20 boats sitting in somebody's yard right now.
Oh, there's lots of boats around, I know that.
So that's a big task to take on.
Right.
Yeah.
So if it's okay with the Planning Commission, I'd like to leave that requirement in. We could always revisit it at a future date, but for right now, it just makes sense when we're talking about turning into the property with the other cars in that area. I just think it makes good sense.
no, I agree, especially with that, how busy that area is.
That area.
And getting in and out of there.
Yes.
Agreed.
I would like to add something that I'm still feel strongly about the site plan, and if we could put another condition that the parcel be subject to the approval of site plan approval for 6 parking spaces. That does not happen, then make sense? He's got to do a site plan, and it's got to have 6 parking spaces, and it's got to be approved.
Wally?
Well, the use must comply with all local, state, and federal permits. Certainly a site plan is one of the
So,
things that,
Well, the site plan, he could have any site plan approved. He could have 3 parking spaces, but right now he's presenting it.
well, that's
So
why I said the
we're-
use must comply with all aspects of this application, with which parking spaces was the exception, and then I put in number 7. I guess I don't say 6 there, do I? 7, yeah, okay. Well, one
Well,
community,
I
one
mean-
per bedroom. That's,
You don't say 6, but if you do the math, it's 6 in the statement.
Yeah.
I mean, you could add the number 6 at the total, but
As always, I will do whatever recommendation the planning commission makes.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is that it's being parking for 6 spaces. That's what's being presented to us. If that does not happen, then
I think, I hear what you're saying. I absolutely do, but I have to say that our staff, or the city staff with the engineer, as well as site plan review, if there is a concern, I mean, they're going to have to go out there and assess that parcel anyways with measurements and things, and you know better than anybody, I know you do. But I would leave that to the staff to say on a site plan review whether or not that could be done, as well as like the drainage we're concerned about.
but isn't that leaving it open-ended, though? Then it comes to pass that the site plan cannot be passed or approved. What happens?
It's a
I mean, I'm happy.
condition,
I hope
it's a
we
conditional
can
use
fix
permit.
it,
If he doesn't
but-
satisfy a condition, there's no permit, right? Isn't that how it works?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking is.
That's
Yes.
correct.
So-
That's correct. And there is a condition in here about the one parking spot per unit and one per bedroom, which totals 6. So if he can't satisfy the 6, then that is a violation of one of the conditions of the CUP. So it's been explicitly outlined as part of his application. The site regulations, he's going to have to comply, which follows under the state, federal, and local regulations. And if he doesn't comply with those, which is the drainage and the zoning outside of the CUP application, then we would either bring the property into compliance through design aspects, or then he would have to come back before Planning Commission and, and City Council ultimately for further discussion. Because it's a modification to his application. Does that make sense? Yeah, an amendment. He tells it differently than I would.
I will be keeping an eye on it, so.
Okay. Any other comments?
his staying on the parking, there is the number 8 on the second page of the parking, of the
Yes.
short-term rental agreement.
Yeah,
That's going to
pointed
be
at it.
corrected.
Well, I counted 6 on his parking. I mean,
Okay.
he counted parking. He said he's got room for 8. He
Okay.
testified to that
Okay.
earlier tonight, that you could put 2 parking spaces roughly where the arrows are shown. I don't know.
So would the city engineer make the limitation based on the site review?
Well,
Then,
I mean-
that number, is that determined by the applicant or in conjunction with?
Well, I mean, our parking is 1 per unit. He's only got 5 units in there, 1 per bedroom,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And 1 per unit, there's only 1 house, so I mean, that's 6. That's the parking.
So as long as
Oh, he
he meets,
can't have
gets a
more?
6, he meets the requirement. If he gets
Parking
more
is
than that-
limited to blank cars in the driveway and/or approved parking areas. So is that a maximum number for the?
I didn't address the 8 because I only saw 6 on the site.
Yeah, okay.
So
I didn't know if that needed to be
I mean,
changed or corrected.
if he can exceed the requirements, generally speaking, we don't hold it
Yeah.
against somebody for exceeding the
No, I agree.
requirements.
I
But
agree.
they have to demonstrate that it
Okay.
works.
Just seems a little contradictory, maybe. I'd have 6, but then we use the word, or the number 8.
Was
Well,
the,
well,
it
then
was
maybe
the
what we ought to do is put minimum, at a minimum.
Right, I mean, because it was staff's recommendation based off of the count of rooms and what we currently list in the ordinance as 1, he requested 8. He was the one that filled that application out. So I think that might be where the discrepancy may be arising from.
Well, what if under number condition 7, at a rate of a minimum of 1 per unit and 1 per bedroom?
All right, that spells it out.
Yeah.
And the fence, you have that, so. All right, so do I have a motion to approve the application as amended?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for the short-term rental property as amended.
Second?
I'll second.
Have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Armentrout?
Aye.
Commissioner Hirsch?
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Geisinger?
Aye.
Chairwoman Schott?
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Good luck. All righty, we're going to move now forward on our public hearings tonight, and this is Mr. Horton again, a zoning text amendment proposal.
Hang on just a moment. Okay. This particular case is a text amendment to amend the provisions of the Planned Open Space Development Overlay District. You may remember that we went over this and made some amendments just about a year and 3 months ago, I guess, in December of 2005, extending into January 2026, or to 24 to 25, I'm sorry. I'm accelerating my years, that's not good. This was initiated by the City Council at its February 9th meeting of 2026. Resolution number was, let's see, it was, doesn't matter. All right. Several things that we're looking at doing here. Number one is building setback and size requirements. A minimum boundary buffer of 100 feet required from non-residential district, and right now, it's at 40 feet from an existing residential district. This amendment would increase that to 50 feet. A minimum of, instead of 50, 55% of the gross land area devoted to open space, land designated as resource protection area buffer of 100 on either side may be used. 25% of non-tidal wetlands, instead of 50, may be used to achieve the required open space area, with the remainder being required to remain in a pre-development state. No portion of tidal wetlands shall be used to achieve the required open space area. That's unchanged. Planned open space developments proposed to contain 6 lots or more will need a public street. Just what it says here, developments in excess of 6 lots shall be served by standard public streets. So it's four provisions, and I know I went through them rather quick, but I'll be glad to take any questions you might have.
Ask where these changes originated from?
You read my mind.
They originated from city council initiated changes. I'm not sure what discussions were held before that time.
So these are suggestions from city council.
This is actual text recommended by city council. So we didn't change any of it.
Any planning commissioner have a question for Mr. Horton?
Was the 40 a arbitrary number, or, I mean, that was, or get that from something?
Well, this ordinance goes back, I believe, into the early 1990s. And, I'm not sure what the twists and turns were that it took along the way. I know that at one time there was not any non-title allowed to be counted as open space, and now we're at 25%. But I can't really answer, I don't know the answer to your question about where the 40-foot came from.
Yeah.
Wally, where would this planned open space conservation overlay district be? I'm sorry, I'm not,
That's a very good question.
is that somewhere, where would it be applicable?
Anywhere in the RS, R1, and R2 zoning districts. So the majority of our residential land is susceptible, that might not be the right word, but open for planned open space developments.
Overall, these are more restrictive, is what it appears to me.
It is more restrictive, yes, it is. How much more restrictive really depends on how much land you're dealing with, though. Yeah. And it depends on the conditions on the land. I mean, not every land has got non-tidal wetlands.
Large effect on any developers for residential.
Again, it's kind of hard to quantify because, every proposal is different. If you have a lot of wetlands on your property, it's probably going to affect you more than if you don't.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. I'm going to open up our public hearing this evening. Any of the members of our audience like to speak regarding this? Yes, sir. Come up and state your name and your address, please.
Yeah, Rob Carter, I'm at 11 Oakmore.
Okay.
I was at the meeting when this was proposed, and so I just wanted to clarify that this includes the Northwoods area that's open now for development, so that's.
It would include any area within RS, R1, or
Right, okay,
that's mostly R1, is our.
yeah, that's what I just clarify that, because that obviously affects us more.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Comment? Okay. Seeing no one else like to speak regarding this, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask what is the pleasure of the Planning Commission?
I'm not sure. I see a comment here that they've all been related to issues of poor design that have been identified by the council, but there's just not much information. Changes, so. I can't say that I have any objections per se, just curious about what's driving the change or the need for the change, and information that's not here.
Yeah, I would agree. It seems that it's kind of vague to us how we got here, but I don't really see an issue with change.
Effort to reduce density, or?
Well, yeah, I guess could reduce density in that we might have less planned open space conservation developments. I don't know. I mean, it's, again, it depends on each unique proposal.
I just find earlier today and then looking at it again right now, just studying Article 8.1, Planned Open Space Conservation Overlay District, just that paragraph about encouraging a more efficient use of land and public services by allowing a more flexible means of development than otherwise possible under typical lot-by-lot subdivision, and so on and so forth. It seems to me that it just enhances possibly the opportunities to develop land in an efficient manner. Best suited for the land, if you will, depending on what that land looks like, what it's comprised of. That helped me a lot, just analyzing that definition, if you will, or that explanation.
Remember that we do allow lesser lot size. So,
Does anybody what we should do? Or do you want to do something? Do you want to think about it until next month?
I'm not opposed to it. I think George, do otherwise. Does anybody have any suggestion?
I would have more of a problem if it was reducing them.
Yes.
I think that would be my concern at this point. I mean, it's not like it's drastic, it's just a little
Tweak.
tweak. So,
I make a motion that we pass it as written.
Second.
thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Armentrout? Commissioner Hirsch?
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager? Vice Chairman Geisinger?
Aye.
Chairwoman Schott? The motion passes.
All right. That concludes our public hearings for the evening. We're going to move down into new business. Any
no new
comments?
business.
Okay. Communications and correspondence?
Bob Moses is going to the city council next Monday. We did a work session back on the 9th. Talked to the city council about describing the proposal anyway, but the final rendering will be March 23rd, unless the city council for some reason doesn't act on it or tables it,
Hirsch? Yeah. Mr. Yeager?
Oh, no.
Nothing for me.
I wanted to take a moment to let you all know that I met with Mayor Hux last week. He was nice enough to meet with me and take time out of his busy schedule, and he did want me to extend all of council, and we have Councilman Fye here this evening joining us, how thankful that council is for the Planning Commission and the actions that we take continually on a monthly basis, so I did want to convey that. I told the mayor that we had an excellent Planning Commission and that I was privileged to work with you all, that I really enjoyed it. So thank you for all you do, and we have fine support, and so with that, I think that concludes. I need to have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Well, we appreciate your lead in all
Well,
honesty.
I appreciate that very much. Y'all make it easy working with you, so.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
roll call.
Commissioner Armentrout?
Aye.
Commissioner Hirsch?
Aye.
Commissioner Yeager?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Bessinger?
Aye.
Chairwoman Schott?
Aye.
The motion passes.
We stand adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you all.